Perfect. We are live. Welcome everyone to yet another workshop of the workshop series of the Hunt-A-Thon Arch. Super excited to be here today with Drew from ArchID. Apart from rest of the bounty partners, which definitely we have a handful of in the hackathon, so good for all the builders. We also have ArchID offering a total of 5,000 USD for bounties. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about today, how you can use ArchID in your dApp that you're building. And for that, like I said, we have Drew with us, who's the co-founder of ArchID. Drew, if you have any opening thoughts before we kick off the actual content that you have for the builders, please feel free to take on. And before that, like I always say, anytime you have questions during the workshop, feel free to drop it in the chat and we'll take it up towards the end of the workshop. Yeah, Drew, on to you now.
Yeah, just for first off, hello everyone. Thanks for being here. Um, just a quick preview of what we're talking about today. If we go and we look at the bounties that we have, as was mentioned, we have 5,000 total for all the bounties. However, there are two separate tracks. Um, the Web3 DNS track is not what we're going to be talking about today. So there's a total of 3,000 US dollars prizes in that category. If you're interested in those bounties, there will be a presentation on that one happening on Thursday at the same time as this one. So drop on into that one if you're interested in dealing with some of the, building on what we have here for the registry contracts. What we're talking about today are the Web3 identity tracks. There are $2,000 USDC for these tracks. There are two prizes. We'll dive into that in a second. And for this track, whereas for the first track, for the Web3 DNS track, we were mostly concerned with the registry contract. For the identity track, we're more interested in the NFT tokens. But yeah, we're going to get more detail on that in a second. Just going to flip over here to the presentation. Just a quick agenda. We're currently in the introduction and we're just wrapping up that agenda topic. We're going to talk about the prizes and the judging. Then we'll talk about what ArchID identity means. We're going to talk about some social integrations. More on that when we get there. Then just as we wrap up the presentation, we'll have a look at how you can reach out to us for help. And at the end, as was previously mentioned, I'll answer any questions that you have. But while we're still here in the introduction, I just want to talk a little bit about ArchID. So this is the app, the front end for interacting with the ArchID contracts. For those of you who aren't aware, we are a name service. Domain name service is sometimes called Web3 domain name service. Many people are maybe familiar with other projects like Unstoppable Domains or ENS, the Ethereum name service. We are like that, but for Archway. But we also have this identity component, which is something that we are going to be focusing on today. In terms of just like the name service aspect, just so people understand. Well, maybe if I do it this way. If I go into either Cosmos Station or Leap Wallet, unfortunately, Kepler does not support the ArchID name service. But if I go into Kepler, sorry, if I go into Leap Wallet, it's being really slow. Hopefully I can remember my password. Did I get it right? I'll just pray. Oh, Genius. So if I wanted to send some funds, what I could do here is, because they support our name service, instead of typing out the long Archway address, I could just, I'll type my name. You see that it's looking for me, and it does locate my address. However, it wouldn't make a lot of sense for me right now to send money from my account to the same account. So we'll close this, and we'll just go back into the ArchID app for a second. We'll have a look. For anyone that doesn't have a domain name, if they wish to get one, they could type in the box here, and if it's available, they could go ahead and mint a domain that would be valid for either 1, 2, or 3 years of registration. If we go and we look at all the domains, you can see that there are quite a lot of them. There are almost 100,000 domains that have been minted by our users. Each domain is a registry record in the registry contract, but it's also an NFT in the NFT contract, which is the one that we're going to be spending some time talking about today. If I go and I look at my domains, oh, sorry, I'm logged in with the wrong account. Let me just fix that up. We go back into Kepler, select a good account, and here we are. You see a lot of domains that I own. This is my Discord ID. If you ever want to find me on Discord. And you can see we have the ability to input some social information here. Under my websites and apps, I just included a link to my Telegram. I also have an email address here that you can reach me at, and I've also included my GitHub. There are one more type of account that the front end allows you to add, Twitter. So I could also add that. This is not the limit to the types of social profile information that can be stored here. This is merely what is supported in this front-end application. So that's something that we'll talk about in a second, because it definitely directly relates to the type of stuff that you could build. I'll just go back to my presentation here. That's kind of it for the introduction. Maybe actually one more thing we should talk about. We do have a docs website. It's not super up to date, but nothing's really changed. This is docs.archid.app. So you will find some light documentation there. But another good thing to do, if you are developing a Rust-based project and you want to build on top of ArchID, what I would look at is you can go to crates.io. Rust developers will know that this is the main place for searching packages that you can import into your projects. If you want to import ArchID source code as packages into your project so you can build your own features, just go ahead and on crates.io you can search to ArchID. Search for ArchID. This is really great because for the purposes of this presentation, is we're going to be talking about social integrations and front-end applications leveraging ArchID for login features or like user profiles. You can go and look at the crate for the ArchID updatable token, and you can actually get the compiled documentation from docs.rs. We open this. We'll see lots of cool stuff. All the types that we have exposed publicly, these are all the types that you can use. I think I'll have to come back to this. Let me see if I can find in my notes. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, here we go. Okay. For some reason, copy and paste is not working. Don't ask me why. I see what's going on. Okay, sorry about that confusion. This is what I wanted to show you from docs.rs. This is the metadata structure of the ArchID token. So when we were over here and we were looking at the types of accounts that are supported, I mentioned that this is not the limitation of the type of profile information that you could store. So for example, if you wanted to leverage ArchID for your user profiles, you could directly store your own type of profile in here. Because if we're looking at the types for the metadata, if we look at the accounts, so accounts is a vector, it's a list format, and we see the type of entries that are in this particular token. So this token has a list which includes 2 entries. It includes email and it includes GitHub. But if you wanted to create specialized profile information for your application, you could create your own type. Obviously, don't name it GitHub, don't name it email, as it would conflict with the existing work here. But, you know, suffice to say, it's like insert your DApp name here, and then you could store your profile information. Because if we look at the struct for accounts, it takes these fields. So as you can see, the fields are actually optional. So you do not need to include all of them if you do not wish to. But you cannot include more than these fields. So I think that is the important part to remember. But if you wanted to include some sort of arbitrary data, I would choose profile. So for example, the way that the ArchID app is using this information. So let's look at, we have account type. Let's look at the account type for GitHub. And the account type is GitHub in this instance. Then the username is my GitHub ID. And then the profile on this front end is just a link to my GitHub profile. So you could sort of follow the same structure, having a link to the user profile in your dApp. Or if you wanted to include arbitrary data, maybe there's other different things that you want to track here, you could also do that. The reason why you can do that is because, as you see, account type is just a string. So if you wanted to include like a whole, or sorry, profile is where you should store this information. So yeah, they're all strings. So if you wanted to maybe like include a lot of data in your profile, like their score in your game, their rank on your Discord server, a bunch of outlinks, you would be able to build that sort of a link tree directly in this profile entry. I would suggest you just use a serializable data string. Probably the most sense would be to use JSON. Just note that in order to import Serda, which is the normal JSON parser for Rust, you're going to need to include Serda WASM, because there are some features of the default Serda package that won't compile into CosmWasm. So just a hot tip there. So we're all on the same page. What we're interested in is Serda WASM. Oh my goodness, okay, there are a lot of them. Should be this. Maybe Serda JSON WASM. Anyways, without too much digging, I'm sure you'll find that. But let's, once again, let's just flip over to our presentation and keep moving along. I think I was covering this actually in the introduction. That's what we were just talking about. So yeah, let's just talk about the judging criteria and the prizes for the ArchID identity track. So there are 2 prizes. And I also left a note here. So multi-category and multi-bounty submissions are okay. Just go for it. You might not win both, as we are interested in awarding as many people some funds if we can. However, if your submission is just light years beyond everyone else, there's no reason why you couldn't win multiple categories. And also, if you feel that you satisfy multiple categories, you definitely should just apply to as many as you feel your project warrants. Because maybe the one that you are mainly interested in trying to win, maybe you don't win that one, but submitting to more just gives you more chances to win some funds here. So yeah, go for it. Multi-category, multi-bounty, we support that. And then just diving into the prizes and categories themselves for the identity track. So the first one, we're calling it the most creative use of ArchID identity. So the way that I think about this one is it's sort of just like the best overall project. It's going to be the one that excites us the most. I know they both have the same prize amount, but let's talk about the other one now, the best UI, or as it's termed in the hackathon post, the yes, best UI for onboarding non-crypto natives. So what we're thinking about with this particular one is, first off, we're not super happy with the UI for logging into most applications on Archway and actually on Cosmos. We developed the identity system in Archway so people could build a link tree for their user identity on chain, and so that could be leveraged for a form of social login where you can find information about people. And so developers for their dApps don't need to build something custom. They can just leverage ArchID sorted out of the box. So there's like a whole category of amazing products that could be built on this, but they may not be an insane use of like the ArchID technology. In a second, we'll talk about the Network Wars game, which was launched by ArchID over the weekend. The prize was won on Saturday, and it was, I think, 33,775 Arch, the prize. So it was a lot of people playing and a very fun time. But like, it's not like a huge lift in terms of ArchID tech. It's really like its own product. So when we say the distinction between most creative use of ArchID identity being sort of like the best like all-round project for the hackathon track, what we're meaning is someone that's really building on ArchID, doing something really interesting, and gives us some sort of like futuristic vibes for where Web3 is heading. Whereas like best UI, it's more about user friendliness. It doesn't mean that it's like a less good project or something like that. What it means is that it's like a standalone project like the Network Wars game. And it doesn't have to be a huge lift in terms of how it's interacting with our technology. It could just be a social login on a very nice polished dApp. That is something that you're interested in building. So if you're doing something for the Web3 DNS track, building off the registry, and you have a really strong product there in that aspect, having a polished UI and then adding ArchID login is just like a really great way to do a multi-category, multi-boundary submission that may not really qualify for the most creative use of ArchID identity. So I hope that's clear. I'm expecting to get questions on that in the question and answer period. So I'm sure this is something that we'll return to. Just a quick talk about ArchID identity. So, what are we trying to do here? We're trying to build a link tree for blockchain. I'm sure many people are familiar with link tree. I think it's link that. Nope, this one. Yeah. So it's a very popular project. It allows people to just create one little page where they can go to and see all their social profile links. So that's the way that we're thinking about ArchID and the social profile information that we can store there. And we think it's like really powerful in the type of things that it can support. And we really want people to build on this. And we really think that the way people are implementing login and profiles now in dApps isn't really sufficient. And we're very excited to see how you are using these features in Hackathon. Because it's long overdue to have more people using these features. And just a hot tip, this is a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt, but I heard that Astrovault is going to be including ArchID profiles in their user information. So that's coming soon, I believe. But once again, it's just a rumor, so we'll see what happens there. Builders are fickle. We'll see. So diving a little more down into the nitty-gritty of the ArchID identity. So we use strategy that we call self-attestation. We don't believe that it will always be this way, but of course, we should determine now what are self-attestation. When I say self-attestation, what I mean is that when I go and I add a Twitter account, I can just fill this out with anyone's information. What this means is that I could put somebody else's Twitter here. I'm not sure how it works in Linktree, but essentially, you are trusting me. That's the way the profiles work right now. We don't do any verification that if I go and I click create and I go and I try to save this, I'm not actually going to save this. You see, I'm going to pop up here to confirm it. I'm not going to approve this because that's not my Twitter account, but it would confirm this transaction would validate. So this leads to the question: why are we doing self-attestations? Why are we not validating this? Well, the reason is because it's like a very hard thing to do in a decentralized way. And add to that the fact that there's not a lot of zero-knowledge cryptography infrastructure available in CosmWasm. For example, there is no ZK Snarks package for CosmWasm. It's actually something that I've started to work on and build myself, but it's going to be a while before that's ready. Why are we using self-attestations? Well, it's kind of just okay for now, but it's not what we want to have. So if you have an idea for how we can do verification of Web 2 identities, like Twitter accounts, Instagram accounts, whatnot, you have an amazing idea for how that can work, that verification can work in a decentralized way, you are welcome to submit that as a project. That will definitely get my attention right quick, as it's something that we have been putting a lot of research and development into, but not, sorry, putting a lot of research into, but not a lot of development into. So we have created a couple ways of doing it. One of them, for example, being like running a decentralized network of validators using our own validator SDK. But it requires a lot of work, and we are nowhere near finished. And we're also trying to partner with some other projects. Like there's like Hyperchain, Mythos blockchain, or sorry, Micel blockchain. These are people that have approached us for partnerships to handle that sort of decentralized network of validators for us on our behalf. And we would use interchain account system to query that data and bring it into ArchID. However, no one has finished or given us a product that we felt comfortable using. We have a lot of partners tentatively that say they're working on it. I invite you to try to beat them with your own solution. Because essentially the first person who creates a good solution for this, if they're faster than us, and if they're faster than the people that we've been trying to partner with already, then for sure it's going to make it in. And for sure I can maybe look into getting you additional funds after the hackathon if you're willing to maintain that project in the long term in terms of a grant. So moving on from self-attestations, we've kind of covered this already, but just, what metadata can be stored in ArchID tokens. This is kind of what we're looking at here. And here is the different types of account information. As I explained, it's very platform agnostic. You can build your own complex profiles in here using this particular struct. Just flicking back for a second. So this is all of the metadata, right? So this is the stuff that you're not going to change. Description, name, when it was created, when it was expired, and what the domain is. So those are the things that you cannot change. And if you go to the ArchID docs again, you'll find out more information about that specific contract entry point to conduct a metadata update. But, sorry, and subdomains as well is a different thing. Accounts and websites, these are all things that can be changed in a metadata update from your DApp. If you want to store profile information relating specifically to your DApp. And of course, you can change the image. As we see here, I have my Archie there. And you can also change the description. So once again, the fields that you can change are description, image, accounts, and website. The fields that you cannot change are the name, when the token was created, when the registry record expires, what domain it points to, and if it's a top level domain, what subdomains it has, if any. Okay, now we're getting close to the end, and but we're also getting into the fun stuff here. So I don't know if anyone recognizes any of these images, but what I'm talking about here is leveraging social profiles from ArchID in your dApps. So I don't know, I can't see the chat, but I'm just going to leave this here for a second. And if you think you know where these images come from, you should type them in the chat. Maybe one of the other speakers can call it out if anyone has some guesses. Just give you a second. So as you're making your guesses about what dApp is what, I'm just going to sort of explain the left versus the right. So the left is leveraging ArchID profiles for user information and login. The dApps on the right are Archway network dApps, which do not use ArchID for social login. You can see they all have slightly different strategies. Although I guess we have similar strategies. The most similar, I guess, are these two. So what the question is, what in the world is marine lottery? Well, I go back into Kepler. I look at my accounts. Marine lottery is this account. So what does that mean? What are they actually showing here? They are showing the wallet label defined in the wallet application according to the Kepler standard. Now, this only works because the Kepler standard for Cosm.js is also being used by Cosmos Station Wallet and Leaf Wallet. So they kind of got in through the back door with making this kind of like UI decision possible. And then here at the top in this first one, we have Marine Lottery. Then we have a placeholder circle where an avatar should be. I think this sort of like abbreviation of ML, the first two letters, is kind of like they've like stolen the idea from like Gmail. But like this is not specific to your Archway address. This is specific to the wallet that you logged in with and what you labeled it as. If you change computers and have the same wallet, you might not have the same wallet label. If you change from Leap to Kepler and are using the same Archway account, you might not have the same wallet label. You see that they're both doing that. And you see that it's very unreliable, just from what I said. Because it's just a label in the browser extension itself. It has nothing to do with your actual Archway account. It's just a label that you've declared on one specific computer in one specific browser extension. Whereas, if we look at leveraging ArchID, now we have an avatar, so we don't need to have a placeholder that's really doing nothing. We have a real avatar, and we have a domain name, and both of these things are related specifically to Archway Wallet. In fact, the domain name itself resolves in the ArchID registry to your wallet address. So I hope you see the way in which that is more powerful. And then this one in the middle is like a bit of an outlier, right? So it's also doing this sort of like Gmail thing where you have like a letter. But for all these three, I logged into all three dApps with Marine Lottery. But this one is showing A. What it's actually doing is a placeholder avatar for the first letter of your address. And because our BEC32 prefix on Archway network is Archway, what that means is that every user would have the same thing display there. You could even just hard code it. You don't even need to truncate the first letter of the address, like this dApp is doing on the code level. So I find that really strange, these avatars. I'm a little more sympathetic to this one, as it is at least showing the avatar or like icon for the browser extension that was used to log in. So I don't know if anyone was able to guess what the dApps are here, but I'll go ahead and reveal that now. So the first one on the left is Network Wars, the game that ArchID launched last week and was won on Saturday. We'll have a look at that in a second. The one at the top on the right is connect.archway.io. This website here. There you see. And as you can see with this wallet, I got so frustrated with the fact that all these softwares, all these dApps are using wallet labels that I actually went into Kepler. You see here that's showing richgirlandlsd.arch. I actually went into Kepler and I labeled my main wallet with my ArchID. Just because I think that's how things should work. And that's a big reason why this hackathon bounty exists, for you to build on and to build cool stuff like we did with Network Wars. The one in the middle is the Archway NFT marketplace that launched Archies recently, amber.xyz. You can see up in the corner, we have the A. I'm logged in now with a different account. We're still getting that A. I'm not sure what's up with that icon placeholder. I hope they replace it with ArchID. And probably many of you are familiar with this one here at the bottom. That's the company that's rumored to be soon switching over to this style on the left with ArchID login for profile and user information display. That is AstroVault. Just finally to wrap it up, um, how can you reach out to us for help? So both the co-founders of ArchID, we are in the Eastern Daylight Time Zone. So we're both in North America on East Coast. So that is our time zone. If you're having difficulty coming to any of the presentations, they're all scheduled for this hour right now. If this is really late at night or super early in the morning for you, definitely just reach out to us over Discord. We definitely prefer Discord over Twitter. All of our links are in the hackathon post if you scroll down. Well, our Discord is here. It's pretty easy to find us on Twitter. What I will do is after this presentation, I will share, or maybe I can do it now, share the link to the slides so anyone can pull links out of it. Is there a way I can chat? Maybe someone from the speakers can share that with everyone on YouTube. Yeah, so the presentation will have the links, but we're also super easy to find on Twitter. It's at ArchID app. And for the Discord, like I mentioned, it's directly here underneath our information about the bounties. And if this time slot works for you, every week we're going to be there for an hour answering your questions starting next week. We have workshops, this workshop, and then on Thursday, the Web3 DNS track workshop. And then the first workshop, the workshop next week will begin with a smaller presentation demonstrating some tools for benchmarking your Rust applications. But yeah, other than that small little demo of the tooling for benchmarking gas and unit testing with on-chain repeatability and reliability, other than that little tools demo next week, it is going to be the first open Q&A session. And then every week after that, there's going to be a weekly Q&A session where you can ask us questions. It's your time to to interact with us, principally me. I'm going to be there every week. So yeah, if there's no reason for you to struggle, just reach out to us. We will help you. And without further ado, can feel free to open up the floor for question and answer period. I'm not sure how much time we have left.
Yeah, and we've put all the resources, all the relevant links in the live chat of the a platform you're seeing at YouTube, Binance, Bilibili, etc. But Drew, if you can also share the Discord link that you were talking about, we can also put that up because currently it seems like there are no questions, so everyone is on board. But just in case if they want to come back to Discord and ask anything from the team. Okay, it's the Archway Discord. Perfect. Yeah. Um, Yeah, but like I said, seems like there are no questions at the moment. But I highly encourage everyone to go hang out on the Archway Discord. Um, put down your questions over there. Put down your ideas over there. You still have 30 days to build, so definitely this could be your shot. And all the workshops that we do, that we host live, if you happen to miss them, you can always go back to the hackathon page and see the pre-recorded videos in order. But yeah, that was it for this workshop series.
Sorry, can I
This is
just say one more thing? Um, Definitely come if you're trying to reach out to us about our bounties. Definitely come to the ArchID Discord. Um, the, I know a lot of people ask ArchID questions in the Archway HQ Discord. It's actually
Mhm.
not the place for it, as
Got
ArchID
it.
is definitely a separate company from Archway Network and Phi Labs, even though 50% of the ArchID team does work directly for Phi Labs. Definitely, we like to keep those separation of concerns. So do show up to the ArchID Discord. I'm super active there, and I will address all your questions. As soon as I can.
Perfect. And for the like Drew mentioned, there are two bounties offered by ArchID. First is the web. First is the Web3 DNS, and second is the Web3 identity that we spoke about. But for the Web3 DNS as well, stay tuned because we have another workshop coming up. Thank you so much, Drew, for all the time that you spent with us today and all the resources that you shared. Highly, like I said, highly encourage everyone to build in this hackathon. A huge prize pool, like I said, this could a very good set of bounties, very good set of partners. So yeah, like I said, this could be a shot to your idea in Web3. Thank you so much, Drew, for the time, and thanks everyone for
Oh,
tuning
thanks
in.
for having me. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Take care. Bye.